What is the most disrespectful thing that someone has done in your home? My wife's cousin was staying at our house because he is going through marital problems. One night I woke up in the middle of the night and I heard some change rattling. He walks down the hall with my 5-year-old's piggy bank. He was taking money from my daughter's F-King piggy bank to buy beer and smokes. Edit. Back in college, my roommates and I hosted a birthday party for a mutual friend at our apartment. Earlier that day we gifted her a pet goldfish because she had been talking about getting a fish. Fast forward to later in the night. Our male friend, let's call him Mike, decided he needed to find a way to impress our other friend, who I'll call Dollar. Mike tries every lame joke and pick up line on Dollar and fails time and time again. Then he sees the goldfish in his tank and scoops him up in his hand. He says, "Check this out, Dollar." He then plops the fish into his mouth and swallows it alive. My roommate and I immediately rush over and start trying to make Mike puke the fish back up. Dollar quickly makes for the door and leaves the party. Sadly, that fish met its doom in Mike's stomach that night. He never apologized, although he did complain about severe stomach issues for several days afterwards. TLDR. Bought a fish for a friend and another friend swallowed it alive at a party to impress flirt with someone. Friend brought a guest to a party I was having. Friend knew I didn't really like her guest and I asked her not to bring her. She did anyway. And welcome guest proceeds to drink too much wine and smoke too much weed. Then pass out on the couch really early. For some reason, my friend leaves without taking the unwelcome guest with her. Wake up the next morning. Unwelcome guest has opened up one of the leftover bottles of wine from the night before, and she's also carved a pipe out of a potato or carrot or something and was smoking weed on our couch. Bitch. Please. If someone lets you pass out at their party and doesn't kick your ass out by stuffing you in a taxi, at least go outside the damn house to smoke. Had a drunk partygoer attempt to do pull-ups from the planks of my old ranch-style ceiling just beneath the heater vent and ended up pulling down a large portion of my ceiling. Refused to pay for it. When I was in like 2nd grade, I invited this girl over and we made popcorn as a snack, and not even 5 minutes later, this twat decided it's a good idea to run all over my house throwing it everywhere. This goes on another 5 minutes while I chase her down. But the damage is done. The popcorn is in between couch cushions, under the fridge, under my bed, in my laundry basket, all over the damn floor. My mom ends up sitting us down and proceeds to lay it out on her, telling her that what she did was disrespectful and to help clean up. She pouted and said no, saying since it wasn't her house she didn't have to clean shit. She continued to pout as my mom called her mom and pretty much told her to leave and to not expect to be invited back anytime soon. I haven't spoken to her in a while, but apparently she got banned from the mall for trashing a Lush store with her friend, throwing food, dumping out products, and smashing bath bombs. So I guess she hasn't changed much. I rented a room to someone I knew since I was 12. He was using and selling H from my house. I found out and told him to GTFO. He was too lazy to use the bathroom and pissed in bottles. I didn't know. Threw the piss all over the room before he left. Carved swastikas in my kid's bunk bed I was letting him use. A babysitter stole my vibrator and blocked my calls. Like really? Buddy from college was traveling through town and stayed with my wife and I for the weekend. Nothing crazy. Hung out and remembered our college years. A few days after he left, my guest bathroom reeked. Took a bit to figure out but finally discovered an upper decker left for us. Disgusting. She invited a bunch of sleazy guys over. Despite me asking her not to, she let them in while I was in the shower. So I did not realize they were in my house. She then took one into my housemate's bedroom and locked the door. Super disrespectful to my housemate, who had so kindly offered that she could stay in her room as she was going to be at her boyfriend's for the weekend. When I got out of the shower, one of the guys was in my bed. And I was like, dude, get the FCK out of my bedroom. and he refused and said my friend said he could stay there. I was very not okay with that. I physically had to push him out of my house. The next day when she sobered up, I kicked her out of my house and did not speak to her for 3 years. In what universe could someone think my friend said I could be here trumps this is my bedroom? Get out. It was after an awful spinal surgery I went through when I was 12. They were cousins and my parents caught them trying to steal my painkillers. Constantly unplugging electronics. First it was the thermostat, she didn't like the sound the water heater made, then the Wi-Fi, the CIA was snooping on her, and finally my fridge, she was saving the environment. If anyone unplugged my fridge I would gently guide them to the door, nudge them out and never talk to them again. Not my home, but I was renting a house and the landlady kept turning up unannounced and would let herself in. And would give the key to people doing work on the house without telling us, so we'd, without warning, have strangers let themselves into the house. It was a very stressful way to live. Very stressful. And if you live in the States, also very illegal. One night the girls who lived in the apartment across the hall brought a friend with them to hang with us. As soon as she walked in she screamed, "This will be hilarious. College guys always get the shttty hand-me-down dishes from their parents." She walked into the kitchen and began pulling out pans and dishes and howling about how old and ratty they were. Our friends were mortified. When they tried to talk to her she talked louder. After 30 seconds of this lunacy my roommate and I told her to leave. She threw a giant fit and called us assholes. You can pry my shttty hand-me-down pots and pans from my cold dead hands. I grew up with those. Edit. Thanks for the silver. I'll cook you something nice with my shttty pots and pans. Dude crapped his pants while sitting on my couch playing a video game and just sat there finishing the match. We were having an old-fashioned LAN party and the entire room cleared out. It's really not a true LAN party until someone shts themselves tbh. Intruded in a homemade family dinner uninvited and then insulted my cooking. Didn't get a thank you either. Not house but apartment in college. Roommate invited a bunch of people over one night. We each had our own bathroom. Clearly marked. I go to get something from my room and hear obvious F-king in my bathroom. I knock on the door and say, "Wrong one. Get the FCK out." After they came out I saw that they had cleaned themselves up on my nice white towels. Apparently she was on her period. Edit. Holy shit, what did I wake up to? To the guy yelling fake. I assure it was not. No, I was not the guy you know working at Domino's. And not your Bed Bath & Beyond towels. These were either Crate and Barrel or JCPenney. Big difference I know. But still. See, this is where I'd bring the towels out into the common room and demand the roommate or the F-keys reimburse me. I posted a shortened version of this story. But here goes. My ex-husband and I had a couple that we were friends with. I grew up in the same neighborhood with the husband. And worked at a bar with the wife. They had met and gotten married in Vegas 3 weeks later. So naturally there was a lot of buzz about their relationship. And her intentions. The guy was super sweet. And she was, well, skanky. We had them over for dinner and karaoke. And the night was fun. She kept taking selfies on our disposable camera with my husband. And wanting to sing duets with him. But whatever. Her husband and I finally tapped out around 2 AM. And they stayed up. I woke up the next morning. And there was tequila rose all over my bar room. Clothes everywhere. Half-butted cigarettes. Lip prints on my big mirror. She had F-ked my husband while her husband and I were sleeping. The end. My mom made a huge dinner for my aunt and cousins. They showed up 2 hours late. Told my mom, "Oh sorry, the boys can't eat that much right now," and just went in our fridge and made them sandwiches instead. We invited a group of people over for lunch. One of them arrived. Put a bunch of food on a plate in a plastic container. And left to bring it to eat with her boyfriend. Edited as my memory comes back. Edit 2. I'm told she came back in and grabbed 2 beers from the fridge. I was a kid, my mom had a friend and her son over. They were over for a couple hours and just as they were leaving I noticed all of my video games were gone. I told my mom. She goes grabs his backpack and of course they were all in his bag. His mother immediately came to his defense, saying he's got a lot of games and must have thought they were his. It didn't even make sense and she acted as if nothing had happened. Anyway. Terrible mother. Kid had no chance. He is now in jail for life, no parole, for shooting and killing a cop during a cocaine bust. Well, that escalated quickly. When I was a kid I invited a friend over and she tried to trap and suffocate my new kittens in a box. What the actual FCK? Little psychopath. Changed my bathroom mirror because they didn't like the one I had. It was my mill who came to visit my then boyfriend and I. We were in a rental that had a weird little bathroom that the rest of the house made up for. But I got up in the morning and went to the gym and grabbed some food to make dinner. When I got home, I went to shower and she has taken down the bathroom mirror, which came with the rental, and put up a new one that was really ugly and too small. I wrapped myself in a towel and switched it back. Somebody left small children in our house while they went to the grocery store. This happened to me. My downstairs neighbor, who I had only talked to once before, knocked on my door and asked if I could watch his 9-month-old daughter while he ran to the store. This poor girl was soaked in pee and had dried food and snot all over her face, so I couldn't say no. I took her in, cleaned her up, and played with her for 2 hours until he came back. Friend must have seen me once put in the code for my spare key lockbox. And I came home to her in my f***ing house, mind you. We're not close. Her excuse? She had to go to the toilet. Safe to say, I reset that shit and didn't invite her over anymore. I had a best friend apparently steal my spare apartment key and made a copy of it. When I caught him at it, he tried lying but I caught him in that too. Long story short, he was apparently in love with me and was coming into my apartment while I was at work because he missed me so much. He also admitted to stealing a pair of my underwear. It's a very unsettling feeling and really glad you caught your potential perv. 2. Locked me out of my own bedroom. Proceeded to destroy my stuff. Oh. So you have a cat? 2. Edit. Thanks. Y'all. When we would host family dinners with certain cousins we would have to lock every room of the house besides the ones meant for party use. Because otherwise they would go into rooms and look through drawers randomly. Pretty minor, but definitely a pet peeve. Someone f***ing broke my Super Smash Bros. For THR GameCube. Capital punishment is the only reasonable response. Edit. An old roommate pissed in my cat's litter pen because I deserved to clean up his piss. Full stop. He was mad I wouldn't pay his rent for the 3rd month. Dickbag. Tried to discipline my very old, very sick dog for jumping up on the couch after they had given the jump up on the couch signal to him. I had trained him to come by patting 3x on whatever surface he was invited to. And this person kept doing the pat 3x then yelling at the poor confused puppy for coming. They were trying to summon the cat and it went as well as expected. Years ago, my then boyfriend, now ex, came over to my house unexpected the day of my mom's birthday. My siblings and I were busy decorating. He made himself comfortable on the couch and played on the Xbox. He was out of the way so I ignored him. Just before she gets home I make him turn off the console. Mum gets home and we do the whole surprise bit. Immediately, like. My mom hadn't even gotten past the entryway, grabbed the controller, turned the Xbox on, slapped my ass and told me to get him a drink as he sat back down on the couch. I snatched the controller out of his hands and told him to go home. For some reason a friend of my brother's thought it was funny to lift up one side of our cat's litter box and shake it when she was trying to shitty. My husband's friend and her boyfriend arrived from overseas. We hadn't met him previously. On day 1 the boyfriend googled buy weed. City name. Got scammed into sending a lot of cash to Nigeria via Western Union to pay for it. Then gave them our address for delivery. No weed ever turned up. But the police did. On day 2 he wanked in the shower and his load got caught by the hair catcher in the drain. Which I discovered when I cleaned the shower. Nearly vomited. On day 3 the pair of them had a massive raging argument at our dinner table while the 4 of us were sitting down to eat. They were yelling insults at each other and trying to get us to join in and take a side. It went on like this for about a week until my husband told them to leave. They tried to come back a few days later because they discovered that our country is expensive and they'd prefer free accommodation with us. We declined. My sister's old boyfriend from high school watched Bestiality PRN on our family computer and ended up making it unusable because of the amount of viruses it gave the computer. Lots of pictures and videos went missing and my dad's childhood friend's obituary too. Edit. My dad did end up getting his friend's obituary back. But the rest of our pictures and videos were lost. This all happened about 10 years ago. And back then my parents, who aren't the most tech savvy, didn't realize you could back up files. My siblings and I showed them after that incident, haha. Edit 2. Started opening all the drawers in my room. A now ex-girlfriend came into my parents' home for only the second time and said to my mother, "Wow, it's tidy in here for a change." Haha, I could see in my mother's eyes the thought process of how to slap her to the next century without making a scene. Your mother f***ed up. It was a perfect opportunity to discover time travel and she totally skipped it. Sad day for science. Edit. Thanks for all the bling. Kicked my cat. Smoked my weed without permission. Pissed on the toilet seat. Then stole some games when they left. All in one 40-minute visit. I took my brother in for next to no rent and he called me a CNT every day for 3 months. His whole stay was a nightmare. A friend from college days stayed in our house while he was looking for a job in the area. The only house rule was, do not let the cat out. He's strictly an indoor cat and never goes outdoors. We came home one day and found the slider and screen open. Our beloved cat was gone. When he saw how upset and distraught we were, his response was, "It's only a cat, no big deal." As I've noted here some time ago, we put this guest out right away. And it wasn't until many days later that our cat returned home, thin, but safe. Context. I'm 16, not able to move out yet. Obviously, and live at home with my grandma. Have done for years. My father is absentee. And my mother has mental issues. Hence why I don't live with either of my parents. My mother comes over at least every second day just to eat our food and use our Wi-Fi, electricity and TV. She will randomly come over unannounced and just sit on her phone for hours then leave without a word. Eating half our fridge in between. She has had the audacity to command television rights. And bitch about what I wanted to watch when I'd gotten home from school. She has bitched about the food in our fridge and pantry. Fully knowing that it is a lower income household. Kicked in my front door at 8 AM on a Saturday and asked me if I liked f***ing her husband. I wasn't fully awake and was completely confused, so all I came up with was yeah. It's fine. I had been divorced for about 2 years by then. Semicolon. Then about 1-2 years after that, an old friend of my husband stopped by. Dude was drunk as hell and kept loudly telling my husband to get his family back, referring to husband's ex. We were married. Had custody of his daughter and I was 8 months pregnant with our next daughter at the time. His family was in the freaking room, dude. Walked in. Pounded half a dozen Jack and Cokes and then proceeded to throw up on 4 walls of my bathroom. How did you get it on the ceiling, Kevin? Had a roommate bring people back to have a house party. Me and the other housemate were just chilling in the living room. A guy immediately steals beers I've had in the fridge and does a line of cocaine on my mantelpiece. Update. No.